Hello, beautiful souls, friends around the world. I hope you're doing as well as possible in those times of quite pretty fast changes. And surely we're all feeling them in many sections of our life, on many levels in our life. And I was just kind of inspired to again share some consciousness stream with you, and especially now with the already almost in a way pre-shadow time of the eclipse season, which the first eclipse gonna be the lunar on the 17-18 of this month. So some might feel already some kind of shadow work is coming up, and the shadow work, it maybe has a kind of pre-taste when we say shadow work, but actually the eclipse season is truly a wonderful time to just have some kind of introspection and see once again what is not really serving us. Sometimes we are more aware, sometimes it's subconscious, and that's why this topic is all about today, about behaviors. All right, we all have those kinds of behaviors, but again, where is the border where we can say it's a natural way of being, or is it really something which was implied on us, and especially and usually it's starting already in quite early age. So I would say now most of those behaviors are really having their origin from our early childhood. And again, now we can say our parents didn't know better, maybe they just kind of followed their own way of being, so they didn't know better. But again, when we've been in this early age or in this childhood stage, we couldn't discern, we couldn't even say no to certain rules, certain growth expectations regarding our behavior, how to be, how to act. And probably most of you remember that kind of sentence when the parent just said, be nice, be quiet, and behave. So this means to be basically nice and polite under any kind of circumstances. And being a child, you of course trust what your parents are telling you, right? So you're actually listening, and in a way, without even thinking, but you hope of course that they're sharing knowledge and wisdom with you, because you have no other kind of comparison, because you are growing up in this one first little circle, which is family. And again, behaving under any kind of circumstances in a nice, polite way could be then quite a blockage when we are growing up. Why that? Because it actually taught you to never really try even to stand your ground if you wouldn't feel or resonate with the circumstances, with this other person who maybe in that moment is expecting from you to be polite. But again, it is actually a way that you then much more easier open to be manipulated, because you don't have then the feeling from where on I can express my determination to be really my own sovereign being, and that I can, because I feel that now I need to speak my truth, or I need to stand my ground, or I need to take another road and choose something else, no matter even these circumstances, this situation, these people are expecting from me to be polite. And so it is quite a big topic regarding our behaviors, because they can then become because they're not natural, not aligned with our true self, they become actually then toxic behaviors. And often we are aware, and many times we are really not aware that we have those kind of behaviors. And if we are lucky on our journey, on our road of growing up, to have real people around you who don't shy to actually show the mirror of what you're actually in this moment doing, how you're acting, what you're saying, then actually, again, you're lucky, because even it might trigger you because you don't see it. You've grown up like that. For you, it's almost a natural part of you. But again, in the outer line, in the outer circle, those are seeing that this isn't really an appropriate way to react. For example, you've been always, again, taught to be a nice and good person under all circumstances. And then you come into conversations already as an adult, and you get triggered, or you're being confronted by different maybe topics to discuss, to address, that it's now necessary, for example, for the growth, maybe in relationship or friendship, or even other relationship with work, etc. But because you have this behavior that you always need to be nice, polite, etc., you will start to suppress your truth, and you will suppress it because you will fear to actually step into confrontation, because then the other side would maybe see and feel and judge you that you're not a nice, polite person, but actually, wow, you can't stand your ground. So you see, it's really something which is rather blocking us than what we've been taught from childhood on, that how we need to behave. And if we speak up, or if we spoke up, even our truth, mother, I'm not hungry, so why do I need to eat that? Father, I can't do that because actually I'm afraid to do that. And in both situations, they would say, you have to do it, or come on, be now that boy and express it. You actually, through this change of behavior, which trained you then how you need to be in those circumstances, you actually suppressed this own inner guidance, this own inner truth, this own inner discernment, which we all have coming to this world. We all have natural instincts, etc. But again, we can be then disabled by the first trainings of behavior from childhood on. And now we will not blame our parents, because again, they went through the same situation, and surely they had to suppress through nature and just start to shape into almost in a way surface different person as they are, or what they felt inside. But now what is coming up, especially again, the eclipse season will pretty much again highlight what isn't natural, what isn't aligned, what is suppressed. So that's why I want to offer you this video, to just remind you. The first step is, even you have this kind of, let's call them unnatural or even toxic behaviors. For example, I can't deal with things, so better, instead of expressing them, facing them, I rather run and maybe, I don't know, lose myself in video games, or drink more, couple of drinks which I maybe wouldn't do, etc. I'm coping with that. So maybe you know already about parts of your behaviors, unnatural, non-organic, toxic behaviors. But the first step is not than to judge yourself and say, oh my God, how can I be like that? Because in that way, you will then just add to yourself what a basically disconnected, non-harmonious person and being you are. And this will not help you to actually heal those patterns. And they are able, or we are able to heal them, to release them, to transmute them. But again, it is firstly needed the understanding that you know you have them, because often they're still very subconscious until you meet many people on your road who might give you similar answers to your behavior. So maybe at the second, third one you will see, oh, if 3 times different people told me the same, maybe indeed there is something within me or my ways of behavior, right? So that's the first barrier to come and to pass through, because the ego will say, no, it's always their fault and their fault. And I'm not saying that the other side is just now amazing in that situation, because probably also you trigger their inner behaviors, outer behaviors, patterns, wounds, etc. But now just back to you. So this means in that moment when you do now slowly recognize that there is something, otherwise you probably wouldn't meet it so often and it would repeat itself in your life with different people, that you just say to your own ego, because the pride, the ego will not firstly allow this to happen, because it will say, you're perfect, you're amazing, it's never your fault, because it's a protection mechanism, which is also something which usually is built even in the early, and I will say rather early teenager states. And this is also something partly organic, but it can also become more than a toxic state if it's been overdone. For example, that everyone is constantly telling you that you're only the best and you're so amazing, that you suddenly just thrive through that. And then of course your behavior becomes that you will not feel in this amazing state if you're not being fed by those others. So you will almost look and search for people telling you constantly how amazing you are. And that's also this behavior, because if you don't have it, then maybe you're gonna become more like a disharmonious, or not in a happy inner state, or in an inner peace of your own self, because you will become needy through this way. Okay, so again, that first step, that you really say, yes, okay, I'm seeing it, I'm recognizing it, and it's fine, it's enough that you know that behind your 4 walls, that you say yes. Even your ego will say, no, it's all fine, you just continue, it's the fault of everyone else. Please give yourself that chance, because it will repeat itself again in another version, because it's there till we are learning that this is not our nature. And again, the eclipse season, upcoming one, will amplify that. It will amplify all these behaviors, all these toxic ways. Again, not to punish you, not to say everything is now falling apart in my life, but to actually show you where you have now a chance to become more real, more authentic, and like that having the chance to also live then such a life. That it's not depending on other opinions, that it's not depending others to give you that power, that acknowledgement, that harmony, that love, etc. That it all can come out through you, inside of you, and that you can live by it in the most beautiful, harmonious, authentic way of your true, beautiful nature, being who you are. And the second step would be, after you acknowledging, yes, I do have this behavior, especially because it's so many times repeating itself. For example, another one is, like I said, you don't want to be confronted with anything to be resolved, because you actually fear that this means that you were not a good person, and you feel actually attacked through it. And by feeling attacked through it, you're actually showing again another behavior which you also learned and been trained by family, by showing you, you've been not a nice person, so go now and we're gonna just love you once again when you do this and that. For example, clean your room, and then we're gonna show you love, otherwise we don't love you. All right? So these are really, really particular seeds, seeded in our early age, but completely being then able to grow deeply within ourselves, and then being reflected when we are grown-ups, adults, right? And again, by feeling that someone is saying, hey, we need to address that because there is an issue when we are adults, this part, this behavior in you might activate, and you will think, oh no, something is wrong with me, I'm being attacked, they will not love me anymore, so better I shut down and I'm not talking with them and not addressing it. That's all behaviors. That's not natural, and that's not you. And that's so important to understand. This is not really you. And we all have to learn that, even those who maybe we did some more deeper work for some time now already with different patterns, behaviors, wounds, because the time will come now when everything will be revealed, and we all will see what is within us, what is in your father, in your mother, in your partner, in your best friend. All will be seen in the society, in the politics, in the school system. All will be seen, because it's a time of uncovering the truth, to be resolved in a way of healed, released, and aligned again. That's our work of the awakening. The awakening isn't only beautiful pink clouds and walking with a big smile and open heart around and say, I'm now on the new earth. Because again, this is a evolving of higher consciousness within ourselves. And higher consciousness brings then as well new ways of meeting, of solving, of deciding. It is actually spiritual, mental, emotional, even physical maturing. All right, that's evolution. It's a maturing from where we've been till now. And again, those behaviors, when we're gonna see this now with many, many around, within and around us, we will not be able to just say, okay, I have compassion now for this person, if we don't see them as them. But if we still see them only as the behaviors they're showing us, it will be hard to show compassion, because you will say, how can they be so toxic? How they can treat me in that way? How they can talk like that to someone else? How they can choose so wrong? Can't they see that they're stepping into a trap on their path, that they're actually going downhill? All of this will be hard to recognize in a compassionate way if we are still seeing only their behaviors. So what will be the training as well is, and that's now for the other side, for example, that you have now someone around you or more people who you're dear to you, who you really care for or love them, that you try to see beyond the veil. And the veil are those behaviors, these programs, this everything what was installed for so long time. in their field, in their thinking, in their feeling. Because you are the one gifting them the chance. You are the one gifting them the chance, if you can, in those moments. Maybe it will not work every time, but little by little, in those moments, to choose to see them through the eyes of compassion, which is you're seeing actually their being and not their programming. This will then, at some point, because it is already the first seed is planted, but at some point, maybe faster, maybe a bit later, trigger, help them activate, that they will start to not see them anymore as their own terrible states, that how can they be like that, because often it's subconscious. We are in those behaviors reacting and acting out, right? And then later on we then think, oh my God, I actually didn't want to say that. Why did I say that? Why did I hurt this person I love so much, right? So gift them then the chance, if you are a little bit further on that path with understanding, with consciousness, that they can then start to see, okay, maybe I'm not that bad, but it's just behaviors I've been trained. And more you can show that to the other side, more they can start to actually firstly think about that. Okay, it's not just me, it's really the patterns, the behaviors who made me like that. These toxic environments, which I thought they're normal because they told me from small on, just be nice, be kind, don't hurt anyone. But they didn't tell you that it doesn't mean under any circumstances to do so. That's why we didn't being gifted discernment from early age. That's why we have to wake up, that we are not anymore these children who didn't get any chance to discern, is this right what my parents is showing me, gifting me as I have to behave now, or telling me as a wisdom, or now discern, okay, I'm not anymore this child, maybe these behaviors I had for so long time, it's time to release that, and that I can now also get my chance to discern what feels right for me and what not. And like that we all can then step into this more basically bigger strength, more potent expression of who we are, and not suppress and cover constantly to be small. Because when our parents told us, again, it's not their fault, but it's also not your fault. You didn't have any chance, you just accepted what they told you when you were small. But when they told you, be just quiet and listen, also this closed a way of our own expressing our truth. And all of this will rise up if we didn't until now get it, that these are only behaviors. We had to wear certain clothes of these behaviors to fit into, even into our family, to be loved, because they told us, if you're not behaving, mama or papa or father or mother won't love you anymore. And they said it out of anger, frustration, right? But we believed it. And that's why so many are still shying away from expressing their truth, from following their heart, from following their call, because they believe that they will, like that, dismiss, disrespect the family culture and maybe even the religion and all what they've been taught all along their way, or even planted, because that's enough. When it was early planted, you just believe it. So it's a kind of inner fight of almost breaking these rules from family, because at the same time you love your family, right? Or at least, let's say, in the healthy connections, which are for maybe some of you still there. still we have gratitude. They gifted us the first, body, we can say life, but at the same time, you're now as an adult feeling, disagreeing, knowing that this is not what was your truth, but okay, you followed it, and a part of you, one part of you, and it's coming from the childhood part, who wants to be loyal to the family because you love them, you believed in them, you trusted them. This part is actually causing this inner fight because you are afraid to actually disappoint if you would choose another path, another way of feeling, another way of thinking or working. Think about this sentence, it's so important. I know hundreds of people who are exactly there right now, what I said, if not even more. So this is so important. It is the fear to break this kind of loyalty because they told you to be nice and kind, right? And that they are the family and you have to be there for them in all matters. But again, they didn't tell you that it's not true to do that in every circumstance, because actually then you many times chosen their part of thinking, believing, culture ways, and not following your intuition, which is number one as our own embedded map for this journey. Okay, so that's actually the most important to understand. Do we wish to feel this almost in a way hesitation, this guilt, this fear to not disappoint that system which was actually shown to you? You trusted, you believed in it, you thought it's safe because it's coming from your family, and then it continue neighborhood and school education and it continue a whole long path that you believed and you trusted. And I'm speaking here a lot subconsciously, all right? Because consciously maybe you've been here and there a little bit and this kind of revolutionary and said, oh no, and so on. But still, did you really then follow fully, fearless your path? Or it was almost little step yes and then 3 steps back? And that's where this kind of loyalty to those systems still existing subconsciously in people, in the collective field. And again, to break that, firstly, like I said, you have to allow that your heart is just saying, yes, I'm not a bad person because I never learned how to love because they didn't show me, or I never learned how truly communicate, and that's why I always shut down and run away, or that I can't step up and want to be successful because I fear failure. You know, these are all things which are still keeping us in this box. And that's why if you can say to yourself, I'm not all of that, but I was just trained like that, and that I'm now allowing myself, that no self-ego will keep me away from believing or letting me believe that I'm all of that, okay? That I can now really decide I'm now a grown-up person. I don't have any more mama, papa telling me, mother, father telling me, or religion or culture what I have to choose, except that you've been so suppressing all of that, that yes, you're still allowing it, but behind doors you're sad, depressive, empty, not fulfilled, and not understanding why you can't get anything right on your path. That's why. Because you're still in some way believing, because they told you you can't get anything right on your path. Why would you actually at all feel that? Because you heard it. You've been trained like that. So think about, I know that many, we will not know anymore everything what they told us when we were children. But for myself, I know that they told me, be quiet, behave, sit down and say nothing. And then I was in their eyes a really nice, sweet girl. But at the same time, all along my path, I knew that that's not my only nature to be nice. We can all be nice. But when it's time to speak your truth, when it's time to discern for yourself what is right for you without having any doubt of fear or anger or that you have to tell anyone why you're doing it, that you basically don't care what are the things. And this is also something in society where they say, how can you say that? That you don't care what we all think about it. Because it, through time, got this input, this feeling like to not care means that you don't love them and you're not following what they expect. So think about this sentence. There's so many behaviors built into the ways how humans are, okay? And again, now you're an adult, now you can say, yes, I do have this kind of toxic ways of being, these behaviors which are not natural. Why do I close my heart, or you can't really close it, but like close my words that I'm not saying, or I'm disappearing, or I'm ghosting, or I'm frustrated and still doing the same thing. That you know that you can change that, because now you're an adult, you're not anymore what they taught you to be. Again, it's not your fault that you be as you've been as a child, taught like that, all right? Because as a child you couldn't say, no mom, I don't want it, or that I can't do that. You just believe and trust them. So when you find those behaviors, patterns, write them down. Again, this eclipse will push them out even more, whatever it is what you feared to look into. If you don't know if the eclipse will highlight things, then write it down then, if you didn't know that you have those kinds of ways of being. But if you know and you wrote that down, the only way is actually that you start to reprogram yourself by just looking at them actually like a script. This means you have to detach your personality from this way of being. So this means if I'm looking outside and I see rain, 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 and then I once believe, oh, everything is so dark and rainy and just depressed, and I started to take this on because it was for many years, right? I was believing that I became like that. So what I need to now understand is, okay, there is rain outside, but it isn't me. I was living for a long time. It did in a way affect me. Yes, I took it on. But now I'm awakening, and now I understand that, for example, Source would never say, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, I'm a terrible person, I just can't get any success in my life. All of these beautiful souls would never, a walking master, a source which you all are, we all are, would say. So that's also a beautiful support, that just compare it. Would this divine say, or God, or whoever you believe in, or would you say that by nature it's impossible because we are perfection? We have everything inside of us. There is no limitation. So only the way how we grew up and started to believe so strongly what they told us, again, no fault to anyone, that now we have to actually unpack this again, what was packed on us. And some are calling that, like I said before, inner shadow work. But for me, it's just to become more and more authentic. and to really find our true nature, who we are. So it's not even a blame game here anymore, and to look who is actually the one who, you know, imposed that on me and so on, and I can't forgive them and so on. It's time to work, not to blame. So instead of again being so entangled, like everyone was terrible to you and that's why you are as you are right now, okay, maybe that is true from how you perceived it, but now as adults, now in a time of a massive awakening, and nobody is escaping this, nobody, doesn't matter what you believe, it's time to work on yourself. So use that time really wisely and start to rather put attention to you. Where can I improve myself, not to become better, but I see here I'm a little bit still lagging with the way how I communicate, for example, right? Because they always told me to be quiet, so I actually didn't then share how I feel or what I want and all of that, because they told me you can't just decide what you want, we decide for you, right? So to start, okay, I'm seeing this now, so what would I like to express? And at the beginning you will not be able just to speak to anyone and express fully yourself, but then write it down for you. Maybe after some time when you really know what you feel or what you want. Again, that's really a good one. Look into the mirror and then from there speak to yourself and say, okay, I feel that. Wow, Gabi, you know that today I feel really vulnerable. Whew, so what is this? And you start to really build this bond with yourself, with your true self, not what they told you through these different kind of behavior patterns, how to be quiet, nice, and kind in any kind of situation. And like that being many times screwed and taken advantage and manipulated. Oh my goodness, that's a big one in this society. Emotional manipulation, mental, spiritual manipulation, because discernment is missing. And discernment wasn't taught when they told us as a child how to behave, right? So, and it's okay, it was all as it was, but now we are adults, now we're in a huge massive awakening time, and now we also have the chance to step into this new earth consciousness, which is nothing else than just a higher perspective of things, of knowing who you are, that you are not only this being, this human who was actually shaped, formed into a special society, and everyone is looking the same, acting the same, thinking the same, doing the same, and if you step out then you're a weirdo, when you say something else then you're attacking people, if you feel different then you're a weak one. Can you see what actually happened with this way that we all had to be trained? We of course then lost that kind of inner source will and discernment, because then we were much more easier manipulated and stamped as those kind of group sheep consciousness and so on. It's not even consciousness, but group thinking and so on, and not anymore thinking for your own selves. And when we are not thinking and feeling and deciding for our own selves, but just what will this person say, what will, I don't know, this company say, what will the boss say, what will mother say, partner say, that we relied on everyone else's opinion just to be nice and kind and fit in and not be the outsider, that we lost that discernment, that own wish, that own will. And that's why many are as well, I'm not saying only, but as well, struggling with deciding what they want and not being so much caught into this kind of postponing feeling, right? Like constantly a yes and a no, or 3 steps further, maybe back or something else, and nothing can really be then grounded. So what we really need to understand is that now, when now everything is uncovering day by day, more and more, especially now in this eclipse season upcoming, when things will even shift faster, because every eclipse season is a beautiful divine intervention time. So everything what we had a hard time to face, to step in deeper, it's kind of not asking you anymore if you want to go deeper. If you want to face it, you will have to face it. And again, it's for our highest good. And it's almost this push when we say we are at the, let's say, not at the cliff, we could say at the cliff, and we see this beautiful blue water, but we are like hesitating, oh my God, what if it's deep, if it's that, and I can do it or not, and so on. Or someone just comes and gently pushes us, and we jump, and in the water we feel amazing, and nothing bad happened. That's as well when I say divine intervention, eclipses times. So sometimes we need a push, especially when we are very entangled into patterns, behaviors, not even recognizing anymore who are we? Are we really all these strange ways of talking, strange ways of even choosing our path, and later on thinking behind 4 doors like, oh my God, why did I do that or say that? I actually know inside that it's not for me, but I just did it. That's where we can recognize it's behavior patterns. It's not really us, but it's subconsciously just running, and we're just almost, in a way, I don't want to say headless, but without intuition doing the things. That's the disconnection which happened and shaped it just into someone who we're actually not. We are much more stronger, much more beautiful, much more intuitive, much more successful, much more everything, much more. Whatever you want to say, we are much more. But we've been taught that it's not like that. That's something wrong with us. And that's why we had to be quiet and behave, and then became afraid to disappoint others, afraid to be seen as failure, afraid to choose your own path. What will all these others say? Because it's so different what they decided me to be or had to be. Thank you, Els, for sharing. Yeah. So I know that every one of us being imprinted, and every one of us has now this work to really, really, really look into and release. This is not you. These patterns, behaviors are not you. You're not a terrible, toxic person. You're not a failure. You're not a liar. Because even lying, beautiful ones, from where is this coming? Fear to tell the truth because you've been shut down, so you started to lie. And I'm speaking in general, okay? So again, if you are already a little bit more further in your clearing, in your inner work, yes? And you have still people like that around, that's our learning then. First of all, also remember that you've been there yourself, and not just to not judge, but to really try to see with eyes of compassion, because they are entangled. They don't know often even that they have this kind of subconscious, partly conscious or more conscious behaviors. And more we can meet them with more consciousness around them. So this means with eyes of love, of compassion, of understanding, and not seeing them as these terrible patterns they're showing us, or these behaviors which are terrible, okay? More we are mirroring them back an opportunity, a very important opportunity, maybe we even didn't get from no one, and had to discover ourselves. And this opportunity is that they're gonna see that we still love them, or we still accept them, because we see them as them, because we already recognized that they are not these behaviors. They are also as human, as divine, as wonderful inside their heart as we all are. And that's a big lesson for us to learn as well. Again, sometimes it will be more easy, sometimes it will be harder to meet them like that. But just remember, when you see those kind of toxic ways, that actually they don't even know that they fall into that belief that it is like that, and that they are what they've been told that they are no one, that they can't finish anything, that they can't, achieve anything, that will never get anywhere, and so on. All this is so important, that we understand that maybe we already now recognize that for ourselves, that we are not that, and that we just help this other, not to do the work for them, but only to meet them, not in judgment, to meet them with different eyes. And like that, we are all supporting each other in the beautiful collective field, that we can rise together in a much more beautiful, harmonious way. So the work is still waiting, okay? It's not done. Awakening means uncover and see what is the real truth. But to not shy away from that work, because it's so worth it to become our true, authentic self, and which is already highest perfection, already in fulfillment, already in strongest passion, in strongest clarity, wisdom, everything, okay? You are divine, so it can't be different. But it needs that click of consciousness that it is like that, and that you're not these behaviors, not these patterns. And many times, of course, people still acting from these wounds because they believed that they are then, of course, not good enough and terrible, and not able to be in, I don't know, in healthy connections. This is all just imprints, and not the total truth at all, okay? So that's one part. And the second, of course, I wish you amazing strength and courage, and also willpower to look into those behaviors and patterns which you have, which we all have, okay, and working to just expand more and more. But again, there's also then other ways to do that. And recently, actually, I received, I think a week ago, maybe not, a little bit longer, in one of my transmissions, a new way where we can also much faster shift. But again, you have to be ready for that, okay? So even if we get tools, can we already apply those tools? Can we already embody what those tools are bringing? So this is not a bypassing of growth, okay? But tomorrow I am actually offering this new way where I can also help to unroot you from these different kind of systems. Yeah, it starts with the belief systems, who I am, what I am in this 3D, from the school systems, from all the limited 3D systems. And that's why I'm offering tomorrow this very unique, special source system activation group work. And when you go then under the link, which I will place then in the comments here, just tap into, just feel into, and then read and see if this would be something which might as well support you with the shifting of this inner belief system, which is of course attached to the behaviors and all the previous version of yourself. And if that is so, then of course mostly welcomed tomorrow in this quite profound work we're gonna do. I already using it with some clients I had, and it's really, really powerful. But again, you have to feel into this if you're ready for something like that. If not, take your time. We are not on a race with this awakening, okay? So this means you can even step by step address your own self, these different behaviors. And if you can't recognize them, trust me, the eclipse season, the situation, even the people around you will be placed on your path that you recognize those patterns, because we do need mirrors to see ourselves and to recognize in which stage you are, what wants to be released, and where you may be acting out of you, or even acting, choosing from a state which you would never do if you would just be really more authentic to yourself and authentic, embracing who you truly are, and not anymore giving more power to the thoughts, what others are saying or portraying to you who you are, okay? So this is like a self-discovery, if you want to say so. And we are all in it. We are all in it. So just know that it's just about really having the will power, the wish, the courage, the patience, the love to become this more beautiful version of yourself, and just release this non-organic, this really artificial ways of being through these behavior patterns which have been really implanted or placed upon you from early age. Okay, so sending so much love from my heart to yours. I hope this in any kind of way, shape, form is bringing some more clarity, some more insight on your journey, and as well some tools that you can just work through that time. Especially, like I said, now we are stepping into the eclipse season, and eclipse is all about fast changes, divine intervention, and just allow those towers to fall which are really not serving you anymore. So don't fear that change, don't fear that crumbling, because it's only that what is not meant to be or is not aligned with your soul and heart anymore, okay? Right, sending much love from my side to yours. And maybe if some decides to join us tomorrow, it's a source system activation at 8 p.m. CST time, and the rest will be in the link below. Okay, so fearless forward into yours beautiful self, into your authenticity. Bye for now.